This is Broderick Young. I'm here for the Knoxville Bar Association's Judicial Committee. I'm here to interview judicial candidate Sharon Frankenberg. Ms. Frankenberg, could you please introduce yourself?
I'm Sharon Frankenberg. I'm currently your Knox County Judicial Magistrate. I have really appreciated the opportunity to do this, and I look forward to us going through these questions and hopefully resolving any questions that you might have in addition to that.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. What makes you qualified to serve?
I believe I'm qualified due to my excellent legal education that I had at the University of Tennessee College of Law and my extensive hours of continuing legal education. Over the many years that I practiced law, I've had more than 700 hours of continuing legal education. I've also considered myself qualified because of more than 8 years of judicial experience as a judicial commissioner and as a judicial magistrate, and lengthy legal experience and many years of life experience. I think there's some things that you need to know in life before you're able to judge people. And that's what I believe that I have. I think my greatest strengths are my flexibility and tenacity. Life is often unpredictable, and I can often find myself adapting to new situations easily. But I do hate to give up. So I prefer to keep trying and finding different ways until I can come up with a solution to complete the task that I'm trying to achieve. If you ask what my greatest weakness is, I think it's that I do enjoy helping people so much that I often agree to take on too much. It's hard to say no sometimes when you know that somebody really needs help. So I have to try to balance that as best I can.
Thank you. In your view, what have been the most effective methods of improving court procedures and efficiency?
And I'm basically going to be referring to in general sessions court because that's the court
Sure.
that I'm applying for. I believe that the effective methods that we've come up in the last few years have been using the mediation teams, particularly in the civil context, to avoid the need for having the disputes end up in a court hearing. That way both parties are protected and have their opportunity to be heard if they need to be. But if they can resolve it with the help of a mediation team that is made up of volunteers, it saves a lot of time and energy and pressure on the courts. I also think that now that we're publishing the court dockets online, I think that's been a huge help to counsel and to the litigants, so they can look it up themselves and see, when their case is going to be set for, and the attorneys can double check their dockets, and you don't have as many missed opportunities because somebody failed to bring a file or an exhibit was missing or something because somebody didn't know in advance. I think also the use of video for hearings has been a huge improvement in efficiency. In my job now, I do the jail arraignments, which means that the jail inmates can stay in the pod secure while I communicate with them and read them their rights, tell them what they're charged with, appoint their attorney, set their court dates, all the kind of things that we do every day. We have bond hearings, we set their bonds, we release some people on pre-trial release. There's a lot of that, and it's all done on video, and we don't have to transport them and spend the time and energy, and it saves them. They get a little bit more sleep at night when they get all their hearings taken care of and they know what's going to happen the next day.
That's great. What additional improvements would you recommend for the future of our judicial system?
I'd like to find a way for the bar, the judiciary, and the court clerks to keep each other apprised of what's going on. I know there's a lot, particularly the computer elements that we see a lot, that they make changes in the system and everybody doesn't know necessarily what's coming, and sometimes they don't have an opportunity to really evaluate and critique what's already happened. A lot of times I see, one change is made and then we find that it's missing something, and then we go back and ask for something else. And not everybody's involved in that process. So some of the members of the bar don't know that those things have been done. Sometimes the judiciary isn't aware of what has actually been completed. They know what maybe is expected to happen, but they don't always know what's actually happened yet. So if there's some way to have a monthly meeting or something that gets everybody a little bit more on the same page, I know it's a big ask because of all the people involved, but it would be probably beneficial to all the people in those groups if we could, have a regular updates like that.
Okay. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing the court?
This is a big one. I see dealing with the mentally ill. It's one of the biggest challenges that's facing our court and our entire society. The jail cannot be the first choice for handling people who need medical treatment, emotional support, or counseling for addictions. We are not equipped in our jail system to handle that, and yet that's been foisted off on them at great cost, great expense, and it's not getting the results that we want. It's leaving people who are violent. We're having to find a place to put them. They could be injured. They can, not get the treatment that they need. We have people who are chronic alcoholics, chronic drug addicts, and they're being arrested because they're in the wrong place, disturbing people, scaring people, damaging property, committing crimes. But the solution isn't necessarily putting them in jail other than to stop them for the moment. They're going to be there wanting to do it again the next time they're out. That's the nature of the alcoholism. That's the nature of the mental illness not being treated properly. And we just are not really able to address it. And it needs to be something that's system-wide. It needs to be all aspects, the medical, the psychological, and then the jail circumstances. Because some people are, able to control it, but not everybody is. And punishing them by putting them in jail is not really accomplishing what our society should probably have as a goal. I'd like to see us come together and set that as a priority as a community. And we have to do whatever it takes to control this, because it's not ever going to get better if we don't come up with a better way to handle it.
Who are your judicial role models and why?
The first one that came to my mind was former Knox County Chancellor Sharon. I practiced in her court for many years, and one of the things that you could always count on is she would be on time. She was generally soft-spoken unless someone wasn't listening to her, and then of course she would have to raise her voice at that point. Also, she expected to have counsel bring a basis for any request made in her court. So if it was a legal request, then you need to show the basis that you were entitled to get that relief that they're asking for. And if it wasn't legal, if it was for more time or for some other accommodation, then you need to be ready to provide an excuse or a reason that needs to happen. I also am a big fan of General Sessions Judge Chuck Cerny. He has a question that he asks at the end of any hearing, and he asks what he calls the elevator question. It's not unheard of, but I hadn't heard it before he used it in his court. But is there anything else you need to say or ask before I decide? I don't want you to get into the elevator on the way home and say, I sure wish I had remembered to say that or ask that. And that comment that he gives saves those litigants possibly bad months of bad feelings that they might have, regretting what happened or how they were treated in court. So that gives them an opportunity so that they can say, well, that was because I didn't say this, because he gave me the opportunity to. So I think that's good, because it's important that any litigant that's going to be in your court feel like they were heard. They need to be seen. They need to be heard. This is their day. It's not the judge's day. It's the day for the litigants, and their case is important, and they deserve to know that it's been treated fairly and been reviewed completely before a decision's made.
All right. You have 1 minute for kind of a closing statement.
Okay. I have a lot to offer Knox County. I've got experience. I've got a willingness to work, and a concern for my community of that's been more than 50 years in this community. I would like the system that we rely on every day as judges to actually provide justice. And I would appreciate the opportunity to serve you in General Sessions Court as your judge.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.